Back in the year of 2006, I started losing sensation below the waist over the course of a few hours. I was suddenly rushed to the hospital and they took an MRI and they diagnosed me with transverse myelitis, which is an inflammation in the spinal cord. From then, I was completely paralyzed from level T10 of the spine and below. And the doctors told me, there is a chance you may never walk again. It was the scariest day of my life.
It was so overwhelming, I think, that we were just focusing so much on like, there's gotta be a way, there's gotta be a way.
What was saving us was the fact that she was actually the one who lifted us up.
Aimee's reaction to this was very amazing, and I would have been just going into deep depression and giving up and everything. I cannot recall a moment where we were just like, all right, you know, that's the end of it, and just desperate or crying or anything. There was nothing.
During the time, it was so overwhelming. I rejected a lot of things, and the hospital where I was staying happened to have a therapeutic art program for patients that were traumatically injured, like myself. This therapist came into my room, she brought me paint supplies and said, here, paint. And I'll just never forget the moment where I started painting. When the paint hit the paper, I just felt a sudden sense of peace wash over my spirit and my body, and from there I was hooked.
She could take a mental break from all the hospital talk and doctors and everything and just escape all this. It was something that gave her peace. Painting
kind of ignited a certain part of my brain that hasn't been used in a while when art came back into my life. Because I've always been artistic ever since I was a child. So after I started painting, then I realized, oh, well, I'm still a good cook, and I could still swim laps like I've always been doing. And then it gave me the courage to relearn how to drive and relearn how to ski and hand cycle. So it brought my confidence back. And when you have confidence, I mean, you have the power to do anything you want in life.
There's one thing that I always remember from all the doctor's appointments with Aimee, where the doctor's always like, do you have any other questions, when they ask that question. And Aimee always early on said, will we be able to have children?
I felt in many ways that my body was broken, that it didn't work anymore. And so the minute the doctors told me that you can have kids, then I felt like the future wasn't so bleak, that there was hope and light in the future that was waiting for me.
I mean, who would have thought, you know, when this happened, she didn't have the children yet. And look at it now, right? She had 2 kids, and there's so much love in the family.
My daughter has said a number of times, like, oh, I forget you're in a wheelchair, like all the time. They say mom's on wheels, and that's mom, you know. After some years, I felt the itch to share my work with the rest of the world. But of course, I was scared. So it did take me some years to finally gather or find the courage within myself to start a business. I started sharing my work on social media, which was very scary because I didn't know how people would react, but people started purchasing right off my website, and the business grew from there, and revenue grew each year.
I had literally nothing to do with the business itself, except for that I'm every once in a while hired as a art assistant to carry around the paintings to fairs and exhibitions and help her set up. But other than that, it's all her.
Rehabilitation programs these days have all these new innovative therapies, and we just have to create awareness about them. I'm amazed that it's now looked at as a serious form of therapy and how that can affect the physical body in the long run.
She has every right to say, you know, I should be bitter. You know, I'm young and this happened to me, it's unfair. I've never heard her say that.
The wheelchair, yeah, the wheelchair is how I navigate the world, but it doesn't define me. I'm like so many other things than just what I use to get around.
You know, usually the parents set examples, but she inspired me to be a better person. And more importantly, how do you use that as inspiration for others? To show others what is possible.
I mean, anything that'll give your independence back, and I think the more you do, you'll feel like you do have your life back.
You're showing me I could get back into photography. It doesn't just have to stop, you know what I mean? Little things like that. It shows me I don't have to just sit here and be depressed about it, you know? Like, I'm able to do things. I'm able to be independent.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And thank you, I appreciate it. It makes a big difference.
People with disabilities, we deserve to live full lives doing something we are passionate about.
She can do anything. If
I'm
she
not going
puts
to
her
jump out
head-
of planes. There's a limit to my courage. Yeah.
She can do anything if she
Yeah.
puts her head to it, and there's no stopping. Also,
Yeah.
there's no stopping her.
I didn't think that I'd ever complete a marathon. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that my business would be successful and that I'd be selling artwork to big Fortune 500 companies. It's about facing your fear and working with your fear, taking on challenges to do hard things, just embracing the beautiful imperfections within yourself.